Hello my dear friends, welcome back to another Star Wars video. It is I coming at you once again, your favourite galactic hostess, Star Wars Meg. And today we've got an exciting announcement. Following Star Wars Celebration, where we got our first look at some of the concept art for Ahsoka Season 2, Rosario Dawson has now confirmed production has begun. In a brand new Instagram post, she took a photo of herself in costume on set, but we only see the shadow. My dear friends, they've begun filming, and she also wrote this, and we're off to galaxies far, far away. And notice how the word galaxies is plural because of course we have Peridea, where Baylan, Shin, Sabine and Ahsoka are stranded, and the home galaxy, where presumably Ezra, Hera and Zeb are trying to get the heroes home. And I will just remind you guys, a few days ago I posted a full breakdown of the first teaser shown at Star Wars Celebration. There were some incredible concepts. For example, a giant Sith robot, Huyang taking on Shin, Grand Admiral Thrawn's Night Sister warriors, and not to mention, AT-ATs patrolling Dathomir. This is going to be insane. Rosario Dawson isn't the only one who shared photos. Two of my favourites, Ivana Sakno, Shin Hati herself, and Natasha Liu Bordisso, Sabine Wren, have been seen in England and Wales. For Peridea scenes, they're filming on location, so Ahsoka Season 2 is going to look so much more cinematic, going for more of an Andor vibe. And I might be a bit biased when I say this, but the countryside landscapes across the UK are unparalleled. Peridea is going to look gorgeous. Rolling emerald hills, stretching beneath vast, changeable skies. There's an ethereal, mystical quality to it, so you combine that with the visual effects of ILM, and we're truly in for a treat. And amongst those celebrating the start of production, we have Simon Kassianides, Axe Woves, from The Mandalorian. I don't necessarily think this is any indication he's going to be in the season, but that being said, Mandalore and Dathomir are very close. It's likely they're going to join the fight against the Remnant, and the return of Thrawn. And in light of rumours that Bo-Katan is not going to be in the Mandalorian and Grogu movie, maybe she returns in Ahsoka Season 2. Maybe that's where the Mandos re-emerge. And speaking of Grand Admiral Thrawn, there was a piece of concept art shown at Celebration that was literally lifted from the Heir to the Empire comic adaptation. So for Star Wars fans hoping, Dave Filoni might do more of the expanded universe, it's definitely on his radar, and he's certainly inspired by it. That being said, I'm a little bit worried about some comments Dave Filoni made. This has been a concern amongst Thrawn fans for a very long time. The mischaracterization of the Chiss Grand Admiral. According to Dave Filoni, quote, now that he's back, he's going to do what Thrawn does. Cause chaos in the galaxy, and try to restore the Empire. That's who he is. I vehemently disagree. Are we talking about canon Thrawn or Legends Thrawn? This might work in the framing of the expanded universe, but not in Disney Star Wars canon. In Timothy Zahn's canon Thrawn books, the only reason Thrawn was part of the Empire was to use it as a means to an end, learning from them, using their resources to ultimately protect the Chiss ascendancy, and to warn of an extragalactic threat, the Grisk. So you can see why fans are concerned, because Dave is saying that now Thrawn is back, he's not just trying to recruit power for himself and the Chiss, he's trying to, quote, restore the Empire.
And I'm thinking to myself, why?
If you read the canon Thrawn books, those that are meant to be cohesive with Star Wars Rebels and Ahsoka, this doesn't make any sense. Thrawn wants power not to restore what Palpatine was doing, but for his own gain, and for the benefit of his own people, the Chiss. He's not Gideon, he's not Hux, he's not Sloane, his motive is not bringing back Palpatine. Unless, Dave is alluding to him building something else, building his own little empire on Dathomir for different reasons. But I don't think so, because Dave says, quote, he's going to try to restore the Empire. His allegiance was not to Palpatine. Even if he was once part of it, and it seemed that way and he was rising through the ranks, his ultimate allegiance was to the Chiss. This is where there is confusion, because Thrawn is an Imperial tactician, not because he loves Palpatine, but because he saw the Empire as a structure strong enough, at least at the time, to serve his larger mission. That's what he's doing with the Remnant. Thrawn believed that aligning himself with the Empire and gaining power, science, resources and knowledge would better position himself to protect his people. To him, the Empire was useful, but in canon, now that it's gone, and the Remnant is what is left, he's in the best position to reach his goals, so I hope they don't mischaracterize him. If we can accept that his loyalty is to the Chiss, then his use of the Shadow Council is also strategic, and not ideological, and that's the problem. I think Dave Filoni says it is ideological, because, quote, that's who he is. I'm keeping my fingers crossed that Dave spoke to Timothy Zahn and got his advice on this. He's not rebuilding the Empire for the Empire's sake. He's using the Empire's bones, their ships, their machinery, its myths of order, because they offer discipline and fear, all of which Thrawn can wield to achieve his larger goals. And that's what Dave needs to do in his movie after Ahsoka Season 2. So those are just some of my thoughts on what Dave Filoni said about the Grand Admiral. I am still very excited, but cautious. Thrawn is a very complex character, and at times it feels as though they've written him as a cartoonish villain. But I trust the process. I was a fan of the first season, so I'm not going to write it off. But with Disney Lucasfilm insisting, canon is canon, legends is legends, you would hope the recent canon Thrawn books would matter to this story. And so moving on, my dear friends, in other Star Wars news, you might have heard about this. Ian McDiarmid sat down with Variety.com and gave a fantastic interview about his career as Palpatine. He spoke about the rise of Skywalker and plans of a potential Darth Plagueis show. It's a real shame he didn't share his opinion on the Acolyte. That'd be something I'd be so curious about. What did he think about the handling of the Sith in that show? Amazingly though, he said there were more plans for Darth Plagueis. George Lucas wanted to bring him to screen, not just a mention in Revenge of the Sith, and not just the James Luceno book. This is my favourite comment. When asked to describe Palpatine as a character, Ian said this: "Well, he's a hypocrite, plain and simple, and a very good actor. He's an entire performance. He's only interested in one thing: absolute power. It sounds objective and black and white, but it's extraordinary. He was a Sith from way back. But that particular personality is completely different from everybody else. He plays a human, but he isn't one. Palpatine embodies the dark side. He relishes it. He thinks people who don't enjoy it or don't allow themselves to be drawn by it are stupid." And McDiarmid then defends George Lucas's dialogue for him, especially the scene where he talks to Anakin about Darth Plagueis the Wise. McDiarmid said this: "Palpatine sees the spark of ambition, and he cultivates it. He notices Anakin is fascinated about the ability to save lives, but Palpatine twists it and gives Anakin the impression he is his only hope if he is to save his wife. He uses the phrase, 'not from a Jedi.' In other words, you're gonna have to betray everything you know and join me." I have to say, my dear friends, there are very few actors like Ian McDiarmid. Someone so willing after all of these years to still do a deep dive into their character. And then he addresses the Rise of Skywalker backlash to Palpatine's return. He says he's aware of it, but he says it makes sense. The most powerful, egocentric Sith, who was obsessed with death, just like his master, would 100% find a way to come back, and he did. So there you have it, my dear friends. Those are the comments from Ian McDiarmid, and that wraps up today's news update. Did you enjoy everything we spoke about, and are you excited for Ahsoka Season 2? Share your thoughts in the comments. If you enjoyed this one, please be sure to give me a big fat thumbs up, subscribe if you're new, check me out on socials, and may the Force be with you, always.